Hi, this is Nancy with On Point TV and Quilting with Nancy, and we are doing a live video. We are in Michigan, and I know how I love to tell you about the weather. We have finally gotten snow. We've got snow in Michigan, and it is cold as can possibly be. And I think on Monday we might get 12 inches of snow. So I'm absolutely ecstatic, and I'm going to call it Snow Day for everybody already. Okay, so we're going to do a special video today, a live video, because a friend of ours on Facebook asked me a question about making fabric flowers. She's working on a quilt, and in this quilt, her name is Kathleen, she's from North Carolina. In this quilt, they asked her to make some fabric flowers, some 3D fabric flowers. And the truth is we don't see that very much anymore in quilting, you know, but everything is a trend, things will come and go. But she's working on a trellis quilt, and they wanted her to make these fabric roses for the quilt. So this is what it is going to end up looking like. But par for the course, if I was going to do one, I had to think of at least 3 other ways that you could make a fabric rose. So I want to first show you some of the ones, not fabric roses per se, but some fabric flowers that I've made. So here is a quilt that I made, and I'm not sure, this could be, it's 2019 now. The original book that I got this out of was published in 1996. So do the math. It's been a while. These designs come from a designer in Japan, and her name is Kimiko Sudo, and I'm probably not saying it right, but she did some of the coolest books, and I'm going to show you the books. So one more that I did, and this one. Okay, so these have 3D folded flowers in them. All of these 3 patterns came from Kimiko's books. So this is her original book, and if you can get up here, this is how you spell her name, Kimiko Sudo. I honestly have no idea if she is still teaching, if she is still publishing. This particular book was published in 1996. So let me show you some of the designs. Can you get these?
Yep.
And so she's got the instructions, these beautiful designs. I'm going to change the book page one more time. Here's another one, and look at the instructions on this. Is she took a circle of fabric, stitched them together, and then folded them. So it was really very fun doing these types of patterns, because I also was always very obsessed with Japanese fabric. So here was another one of her books, Origami Fabric for Quilters. So this is the one that I showed you, the petunia one that I made. And here's just a nice big picture. And then just a couple of other ones. So this one was fun. Now, I have no idea. I wish I knew how to speak Japanese, but I don't. Amiyagi, handmade gifts from fabric in the Japanese tradition. And you know what I loved about this particular book is she talks about why making something by hand was so special. It is truly giving of yourself, not just because you're probably going to poke your finger now and again and leave some blood in the fabric and the thing that you're making, but that you've taken the time to make something by hand for somebody. And in this book, most of it are these fabulous little bags and pin cushions. And this last one is really cool. Look at those ones. Okay. And then the last book of hers that I own was the folded flowers, and this one she did fabric and some ribbons. So she used a little bit of fabric, a little bit of ribbons, and again, just a quick look at her fabulous designs. And one more. It was really hard for me to decide which ones to show because I thought they were all so very cool. Look at that purse. So thought that was fabulous. Well, I'm obsessed with Japanese fabric. I'm obsessed with all that kind of stuff. So one time when I was in Portland, Oregon, I stopped by a shop there, and I think it was Pioneer Quilt Shop, something like that. And they had literally just gotten this particular book in the mail. It's all in Japanese. Can't read a thing on it, but I want to show you one which made me think about the question that Kathleen had for me. So here is a rose flower on a purse. And so when I looked, I'm like, well, all right, I wonder how this particular book tells you how to make them. here it is. In Japanese. Yes, I don't read Japanese, but I can read pictures. So it told me to make a tube and then roll it, and then you'd end up with a flower. So that was one way to make a flower. So I thought that was a pretty cool little book. And then the last one is Kanzashi. Now, this particular book by Diane Gilliland, close?
Sure.
Sure. I'm sorry, Diane. Please forgive me. I assume you can probably find this and all the other books on eBay or someplace, or hopefully you're in a quilt guild that maybe has a quilt library that you can find these. But this particular one, there is a super cool tool by Clover. So I'm going to show you how to use that one too. So we are going to first begin with the one that Kathleen asked me about, which is this one. So this is a gathered rose. Okay, now the instructions, I only got a little bit of instructions from Kathleen, but it said that she was supposed to take, I'm assuming, a width of fabric. So I took a about 44-inch wide long piece of fabric, had been cut 2.5 inches wide, and I folded it in half. And then I, with my sewing machine, did a gathering stitch. So I used the longest stitch on my sewing machine, and then I believe my sewing machine, it was a 5.0, and I'm going to now gather it. So forgive me as I take a little bit of time here. I did use a very strong polyester thread. Anytime you're going to do gathering like this, you want to use a very strong polyester thread. So I'm always telling you, for quilt making, we use 50 weight cotton thread. For something like this, when you're going to be doing gathers, especially if you're doing it like this, or if you're working on a garment where there's going to be lots of gathering, you always want to use a very strong thread. Sometimes it's such a gathering, usually if I'm making a garment, a costume that has a lot of gathering, I will use a zigzag stitch over a very thin cable. So then I can really get a nice gather on it. There are, just going to keep talking while I'm pulling this. Oh! And then you saw it happen. Oh no, stop. Okay, I got to grab that thread before it escapes me. Okay, Athena, look at the flowers, because I'm going to grab this with my teeth and I don't want you to see me. Oh no. Okay, I'm missing it. Don't. Oh man. You know, this is why doing a live video is so tough. All right, I'm going to grab my hemostats here and see if I can grab that thread.
It's like operation.
It is. It's an operation. I'm hoping I can grab it. Oh. Nope. I've just got to very carefully pull this down until I make this tail long enough that okay, I can just hold on to it now. So as I was saying about that very strong thread, I guess mine wasn't quite as strong as I wanted it to be, although it worked really nicely when I made the first one. So taking my time now, not gonna rush. There, so I'm gonna hold it, and now I'm gonna take some of these gathers and bring them on down. Now, Kathleen had said that they told her in the instructions that she was supposed to take that 2.5 inch wide piece of fabric and gather it to 20 inches. So that's what I'm working on here. Taking my time. Again, please don't let it bust again, because if it busts again, I'd have to start all over again, and I don't know that you guys want to wait around for that. So. And you really can't, I can't go on until we've done this. Getting it there. A few more. So I'm sorry if you're bored. Please, is anybody out there bored? Okay. Is anybody out there watching? Hello, whoever you are. Who's watching?
We have Teresa from Minnesota.
Teresa from Minnesota. Have you guys gotten snow yet, Teresa? Because we're finally going to get our 12 inches of snow on Monday, and I'm pretty excited about it. Is Kathleen there by any chance?
She has not said hello. Vicky has said hello, though.
Hi, Vicky. How are you today? And where is Vicky from?
She did not say.
She did not say. All right, thank you guys for hanging in there. All right. I'm almost
Teresa said just a dusting for 3 days.
just a dusting. I should share the pictures of our 12 inches if we actually get it. You know, I don't really put any faith in the weatherman. They're really kind of unpredictable all over the place. I know in Michigan we think that we've got the most unpredictable weather, but I don't think that's really the case. I think it depends on where you're at. You're always going to get it. I heard even in Hawaii they say that their weather is unpredictable, and I'm like, okay, unpredictable in paradise? Yeah, right. Okay, so I've got this fairly evenly gathered up, and I'm going to see if I'm down to 20 inches yet. Okay, so here I can measure. I'm about at 21. I'm going to call this good. Okay, so now I'm going to start from the middle, and I find if I use some Roxanne's basting glue as I go, in the end, it is going to make my flower much more secure, okay? So I'm going to take my flower in my Roxanne's glue, and I'm going to put a little dabs of glue here. Here, let me clean some of the stuff out of the way. Okay, little dabs of glue here. Then I'm going to take and fold this down so that this will be the center of my bud. Now I'm going to put some more glue on and kind of come up on the gathering there. And this I'm going to fold on itself, and fold on itself. So this is going to be kind of like my little handle that I'm going to hold on to as I roll. Okay? So as I roll, I put more dots of the glue. Now I don't want to go too fast. You do have to take your time, and you can adjust your gathers as you go. More glue. Now I have seen somebody, there was a video that I was watching a little while back where she used a hot glue gun for the glue. Sure, why not? If you got a hot glue gun and it works for you, I don't know why it wouldn't work. In my case, I always have Roxanne's glue handy. I know that it's very, very strong. I also know that it will not hurt the fabric over time. But do I think it really would make a difference? I really don't. So use whatever glue you have handy. I get these threads out of the way. Some more dots. Dee-dee-dee-dee. All right. Are you going to sneeze, Athena?
No, cats were rubbing against my legs.
Oh, there's cats in the studio. Okay, nothing new. A few more. And just going to continue to go, and you see how I've got this handle. So this handle is going to help me with my spinning, and do you see how it's turning out? I could honestly call that good right there.
Let me see the handle, what you're talking
The
about.
handle is that very
Okay,
end I
yep.
folded down.
There you go.
Okay, so you have to have something to hold on to while you're spinning it. In the end, we'll just end up nipping that right off.
So Teresa asked, did you sew the 2.5 inch strip in half?
Yes, I folded it in half with the wrong sides together, so the correct side, the good side, or in the case of a batik, whatever side, was on the outside. And I think that's what Kathleen, in her message to me, she said that she was having troubles with this, and they'd asked her to take a strip of fabric and fold it to 2.5 inches wide and gather it to 20 inches. So that is the extent of the instructions that I have. Okay, so here at the end, I do like it to be a little bit more tightly gathered so that my last petals are going to be able to kind of ruffle out a little bit bigger. Okay, see how they kind of ruffle out a little bit bigger? And this is, you know, where I lost my gather, where I lost my thread, I'm going to just cut that off. Ended up not losing too much, so that was pretty good. Okay, a few more dots of glue. All the way to the end. Okay. When I get to the end, because obviously I wouldn't want this raw edge here. I'm going to take and put some more glue here, even up on top of here, because I'm going to fold this down.
Guessed it right.
Who'd guessed it right?
I did.
Oh, and Athena, she's quite the crafter. Okay, going to gather that a little bit tighter. It seemed a little bit flat there at the end. Oops, and fold that down. So I'm going to try, I'm trying to keep everything sort of even here on the end while I'm working on it. I'm going to grab one of my Wonder clips and just clip that there. Okay. When that's clipped, then you can take the time to kind of maneuver and play with the petals a bit. Okay. This is looking pretty good. Don't go too crazy with it because we have a couple of other steps we have to take. I'm going to keep this thread here. And I'm just going to kind of wrap it around to the back side because I don't want to cut it off. If I cut it off, I risk all of my gathering just coming out. Now I'm going to get rid of it. I don't want it to be permanent, but I'm going to just take and cut off the handle now. All right. So now I have a rather flat bottom here. I'm going to take Ultra Suede. Ultra Suede is one of those things you can usually find in a fabric store. I get it at there's a garment shop here. We're very, very blessed in Grand Rapids. We have, I think, 6 quilt shops in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and a family-owned chain of fabric stores right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan called Fields Fabrics. That's where I buy my Ultra Suede. It is kind of pricey, Ultra Suede is, but what's so cool about it is, first of all, it doesn't fray. Okay, so you can cut teeny little circles out of this and use them as berries. So it does not fray, but it also needles quite easily. So you can pull a thread all the way through it too. So for this, I like to take my rose. I'm going to take quite a bit of glue, and I'm just going to start squeezing it all on the bottom here. Again, whatever glue floats your boat. Gonna get it on the edges here a little bit. Now I'm gonna take out my clip. A little bit more glue. And then I'm gonna stick that right down onto the Ultra Suede, okay? When it's dried a bit, then you can take and do some stitches on the back side of it and then trim that down, and then you have a beautiful fabric rose. Okay, so that's one way to make a fabric rose. I'm gonna go through another way here. This is where I used a tube of fabric, and this would be a folded fabric rose. Okay, so it has, if you look at the difference here, it's going to be a little bit shorter, but much more dense than just the ruffled one. Okay, so for this, I took a tube of fabric. Again, I used the same size. I had that 2.5 inch strip of fabric. This time I folded it right sides together and sewed that seam into a tube. Okay, and on the end of it, I sewed across so that the tube was actually closed, and I'm going to explain why here in a second. After I sewed it, then I did take it to my ironing board and I kind of pressed that seam open. I find that it makes when I turn this tube, it's going to make it flatter. Now I'm going to use one of the coolest things I've ever found. This is the Turn It All tool. I use this tool when I'm turning, you might have seen me do the machine applique when I turn different things, the leaves and stuff. There's 3 different sizes for this, and this is how it works. There's a tube and there's a stick. Okay, take your tube, put it inside the fabric tube or piece of fabric or whatever it is that you're trying to turn, and get it to go all the way down to the bottom. And this is a very, very long strip. Okay, once you get it down, and this is why I sewed that end, now take the blunt end stick of the Turn It All tool, poke it inside, and now bring the fabric the other way. Uh-oh, my stick is in there. Okay. There's the stick. So that got the tube turned, and while the stick is in there, I use it to help poke out the corners. All right, then I can get my stick out. So I turned it. This is also used in doll making. It was Eleanor Peace Bailey was the teacher that showed me about that. She was a doll maker, amazing doll maker, I might add. She's the one, if you're ever in any of the big shows, she's the one that usually is wearing some really wild pair of overalls, and her hair is pink and purple and all these wild colors. So really wonderful teacher.
Teresa asked, can we link that? So I'm assuming where to find.
Where to find the Turn It Off?
Yeah.
Yep. I know for a fact that you can buy it on quilting-warehouse.com. I think all the tools I'm showing you, you can find on the quilting-warehouse.com. All right, so now I'm going to take my iron, and I'm just my little portable mat here, because I want to press this flat. So there's that seam right there. I had pressed it open, and because I had pressed it open, it's easier for it to lay flat now. If you don't press it open first, you might have a hard time getting it to actually lay flat here. So I thought we could just bring the little portable iron. This is one of those ones that this is kind of a new thing, and I don't know if Quilting Warehouse has this particular mat yet, but I'm pretty sure she will be getting them. These things are fabulous. I've been really blown away by the quality of the pressing that you get. And you know how I'm obsessed with spray sizing and pressing? I find that the pieces that I spray size dry faster than ever when I'm pressing on this little mat. All right, so that guy's all pressed. Let's put him out of the way. Turn off my iron. I shouldn't need him anymore. All right, so this is a folded flower. So same idea. I'm going to use the glue. It just makes things kind of hold together a little bit better. Fold that down, and then fold more here so that I can again have that little handle. Here's my little handle created by there. Now this is what makes this a folded rose. Right here, I'm going to take and fold it back. Okay? Put some glue along this edge, and now roll it. When I get to the end of the glue, which is probably the end of the fold, fold it back. Hold on to it. Roll. Fold it back. Glue. Roll. Fold it back. And you do that until you're to the end. And just like the other one, fold it back. So just like the other one, then I would take it and put the Ultra Suede on the back of it. I would do the gluing and then stitch it down a little bit. And so what I have not done yet on this one is cut away some of the Ultra Suede, so you wouldn't be able to see it. And that's what the folded rose is going to look like, all right? So we've got the gathered rose and the folded rose. The last flower I want to show you is the Kanzashi full flower maker. Now, I'm going to show you this one. It's from Clover, and if you're ever in a quilt shop, you know that you see Clover items all the time. Again, this is actually available on the Quilting Warehouse website too. This is the round petal large size. There's also a round petal small size, a pointed petal large size, a pointed petal small size, and a couple of other variations on the theme, okay? And this particular book doesn't even use this tool. She does these all with just the folding. This little tool is just the most miraculous thing I think I've ever, and I know it was probably a Japanese quilter that came up with this idea. Partly I'm thinking that because the fabric folding is very Japanese. Clover is a Japanese company, but this is like a math marvel. How this creates this absolutely blows my mind. All right, so this is the little tool. I'm going to take a piece of fabric. This piece of fabric, they told me to cut 4 7/8 inches, 4 3/4 inches, and then I folded it in half. All right. Now I'm going to take it and fold it between that. So, and then that little guy snaps up there at the top. Okay. Oops, but you know what? I didn't quite get my fabric into the fold. I want to be sure that my fabric stays all the way into this back fold here. There. Now snap them shut. Now these can be made, this is just a regular cotton fabric. These can also be made from sheer fabrics, you know, and anything at all, but you would not want to make it with denim. All right, so maybe I've gone a little extreme, but that little guy won't clip if the fabric is really, really thick. So on this little guy, I don't know if you can see, but it's got numbers. There's a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 way over here, 6, 7, and 8. And there are also these really odd little slits, and I'm going to flip it over. Same idea here, same exact numbering and those odd little slits. I've already done 3 of them. You generally are making 6 petals, so I put these together. I'm going to leave them on the thread that I'm sewing with. So now I have a thread here. Oops, I got a lot of threads here. Okay. I'm going to put on my thimble. Here's my little guy. I am going to start at the number 1, but I'm going to start on the back side. On the back of the number 1, see how this has a little notch coming out of it? That's where I'm going to put my needle in first, and it comes out the front. Uh-oh, I got a knot. Stop it. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Don't panic. It's not a quilting emergency. It's just a little knot in my thread. There. All right, so let's try this again. I am using a large eye. What am I using here? I'm using a golden eye embroidery needle, which is going to be a very sharp needle. But in this case, I'm using the smallest of the ones in that pack in hopes that I can thread it. Holy cannoli moly. Okay, there, I got it. There. Because I am using, again, a heavy thread. This time I am using a quilting thread, so a heavy quilting thread. All right, so I've not got a knot in it, so I'm good. Okay, starting again. On the number 1, on the back side where that little notch is, comes up on the number 1 on this side. And then I'm going to just follow the numbers. So I'm going to go to number 2, straight down. When I do that, watch where the thread goes, right inside that little slot. Now I'm going to go from the back side to the number 3. Watch where the thread goes inside that little slot. Now the 4 is a little bit odder. It's going to go here. I'm going to have to tip it upside down, so excuse me for being upside down. Now watch where the thread goes. I need it to go inside that little elbow. And when it does, it kind of comes out to go across here. Okay. The number 5 is all the way across. Watch that thread disappear into the little slot. Don't pull your thread too tight right now. Then into number 6, again, this one's going to have that little elbow. You need the thread to go inside the elbow. Then I go from the back to number 7. And then to number 8. And number 8 ends with that same kind of little slot that number 1 had. All right. This is the math marvel, because now when I undo this, it comes out completely clean because of all those little. You guys should see Athena's face. Her face is like, oh my goodness, what just happened? Now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pull it, and all those threads just go, and then ta-da, I have a petal.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, all right. I hope everybody else out there is going, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So then I'm just going to make a little knot here. a little knot, and do it all over again. So leave that attached, put this on all the way down, clip off all the fabric around it, go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, pull it, and then you get a petal. It takes 6 petals to make a flower like this. I just put a button in the middle of it there, just attaching it that way. I mean, think of all the different things that you could put a flower like this on. And like I said, this is the large round, but there's all the other ones. And look at the designs she comes up with in the book. I mean, she does bracelets, little book covers, just a whole slew of things. Here's a barrette clasp. So really, really fun. And here she is doing it with denim, just not using the tool. The tool couldn't use the denim, but you wouldn't need the tool if you could somehow find this book. So there you have it. There is 3 different 3D fabric roses or flowers, if you will. Just something fun. You never know when you're going to want to put some little embellishment on a quilt or on a trellis quilt like Kathleen is working on, and that's what she needed the roses for. But now you have a couple of things to choose from when you're wanting to do that kind of thing. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to share the videos. We love it when you do that. And when you do that, also be sure that you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button so that you'll know when we are publishing a new video or when we're going live like we are now. Our website is onpoint-tv. That's where you can find my Learning to Quilt book, the other patterns that we've done, and our pincushion pattern, which is the most fabulous pincushion ever. All of these products, except the books are a little bit older, can be found on quilting-warehouse.com. FYI, that is owned by one of my very, very best friends. So I would love it if you help support her in her new endeavor owning that website. So that is all I have for you today. If you have any questions like Kathleen did, go ahead, send me a question. She messaged me through the Facebook page. You can message me through YouTube, or you can write me at quiltingwithnancy